to see all of you guys in person. It's been a long time since we've been out here in Toronto. I think the last time was during PDAC. Title of my presentation is The King of Burgers and the Queen of the Silver Camps. By the end of this will make sense. We do trade under the symbol BRC in Canada and BKRRF on the OTCQX. I'm told we're also on one of the German exchanges. If any of you are daring, give it a try. Let me know how it goes. Some forward-looking statements, obviously. The thing that I'm looking forward to most is the last tax law season of this rate hike cycle to be nearing completion. We're a ticking time bomb right now in terms of our valuation, and I think this is the perfect time to get in front of you because this weakness is going to end December 31st. So we've got 3 projects in Nevada. We're focused on gold, silver, and we hit lithium too. In the last 18 months, we've made consequential discoveries at all 3 of our projects. We delivered 100 million ounces of silver equivalent at the highest grades in the entire industry for any large project. In addition, we made a multi-ounce gold discovery, a blind discovery, right on trend of one of Nevada's most high-grade historic gold mines. It was called the Midas Mine. We hit 70 grams on a blind discovery on what was going to be a throwaway drill program just to hit our minimum work obligations with the vendor. And in our search for gold and silver down in Tonopah, halfway between Las Vegas and Reno, we hit lithium right at surface. So we've got about 100 million ounces, huge expansion potential baked in at depth, and we've got lithium right at surface is our cover rock. Now, you know, in terms of our valuation, we're backstopped now by 100 million ounces. This graph here shows us in relation to all silver deposits that are above 80 million ounces globally. First thing that should stand out is that there's not many. What you'll see is the gold bubbles denote pure precious metals. The blue denote polymetallic deposits. We're not a zinc mine pretending to be a silver mine. We're silver and gold, about 50-50 on an in-situ metals basis. It's very rare. The other thing that should stand out in terms of how few projects there actually are is that this is an industry that's severely lacking in grade. A lot of things have to go right for a lot of those marginal deposits to ever work. Every single thing that could happen, every single thing can go wrong with our project is still going to be a high margin operation. This is using a 200 gram per ton cutoff. We're on a block diluted basis, about 508 grams per ton. Along the y-axis is our ounce in the ground valuations. You'll see in terms of our high grade peers, we're trading at about a 50% discount. Our resource isn't priced in yet. The ink hasn't even been cast on the technical report. That's getting filed this week. This is our first conference where we're getting in front of our investors, and I'm going to be living out of a suitcase for the next 3 weeks, walking people through it. That bullseye on there, what that shows is where we were trading leading into our last resource on an ounce in the ground basis. We only put it out a couple weeks ago. In September, our ounces commanded the highest ounce in the ground valuation in the entire industry. About just around $1 an ounce. Our other high-grade peers are trading for about 90 cents an ounce right now. Today, we're 40 cents. We're higher grade. We're silver and gold. And we're on private land in Nevada. These ounces should be commanding the premium that they once were. Now, I said, you know, there's a lot of things, you know, have to go right for the marginal lower-grade deposits to work. If everything goes wrong with us and we switch to a 400 gram per ton cutoff grade, double our current cutoff grade that we're using, which is based on projected costs, we're still left with 70 million ounces at just under 800 grams per ton silver equivalent. There's nothing like this in the industry. You know, there was a time where right now, you know, we're trading for 40 cents an ounce. Our peers are $1. You know, in June of 2022, high-grade ounces, Vizslas, Dolivard, and Zars, we were commanding $2.50 an ounce in the ground. Silver was the same price. That just shows you the leverage call option nature of the proposition that we have. Obviously, and I think everyone underestimated just how brutal I guess the Fed hike cycle was going to be, but that's coming to an end. And you'll see that re-rate potential moving forward. I see my job in the next couple of weeks is to close that gap in valuation just to get back in line with our peers. But really, really the fun begins when the sentiment turns, and it turns quickly. And when it does, as I said, all other things being equal, all of our ounces were trading for $2.50 not that long ago. So what is the Tonopah Silver District? It's halfway between Las Vegas and Reno. It's known as the Queen of the Silver Camps. It's second only to the Comstock lode in terms of silver districts in Nevada. And just as the Comstock was a very, very consequential discovery in Nevada, the Tonopah Silver District was one of the most consequential discoveries in Nevada history. They say Nevada's a state because of the Comstock, but it stayed a state because of the Tonopah discovery in 1900. It really reinvigorated the state when nearly 2/3 of its population had left. Within a few years of the Tonopah discovery, a whole bunch of discoveries in the lower half of the Walker Lane were made. Now, in about 30 good years, from 1900 up until around 1930, the district produced just under 200 million ounces of silver and just under 2 million ounces of gold. All of that production came from 7.5 million tons. What does that mean? It means it's high grade and the metallurgy was phenomenal. Those people were, the historic miners were able to get all of that production out just using old stamp mills. It's cyanide soluble. You process it, you get silver, gold, and you're left with beach sand. You'll see that, it's banded vein. This is a low to intermediate sulfidation epithermal deposit with that nice banded texture. We're the first group to come back in, consolidate this district since production shut down in the 1930s. You'll see it was discovered in 1900. It was a hockey stick chart up in terms of production where by 1910, it was producing in the order of 14 million silver equivalent ounces per year. That fell off a cliff. Primarily in the 1920s when they unpegged the price of silver. Tonopah was producing something called the peace dollar. The American government were pegging it at a dollar an ounce, selling it to the Bank of England to aid in the rebuilding and backstopping of their economy after World War I. It's the Tonopah silver is what that silver was made from in the peace dollar. When they unpegged the price of silver in the 1920s, it went from $1 an ounce down to 25 cents an ounce. Everything in the district went belly up. Our thesis was that the old-timers didn't stop mining because they ran out of ore. They stopped mining due to low metals prices and a tough market being the Great Depression. We've proven that thesis. In 3 years since we started drilling, we inherited 0 drill holes in the database. Actually, there was one. One drill hole in the database. We've drilled out 100 million ounces. We've put 6 million tons together, grading just under 250 grams per ton silver and 2.9 grams per ton gold, using a 200 gram per ton cutoff. As I said, just silver and gold. If I were to get rid of the gold credit and just look at the silver, this would still be the 4th highest grade large project in the entire industry. This thing's a monster. This is just conventional underground mining methods. We're not looking at any narrow vein stuff. We modeled down to 1.5 meters. It's about 80% long hole stoping, 20% cut and fill. And the mining costs were based off first principles. So this is what the district looked like in 1908 on the lower portion of your screen. It used to be thought of as an east-west vein corridor. The discovery in 1900 was made by a prospector walking his burrow between camps. Big outcropping vein at surface, and what happened was those old-timers came in, they set up shop quickly, and bigger companies came in with more capital as they went underground. They did no drilling back then, they didn't need to. These veins were so rich. In fact, they were supergene enriched right at surface. What ended up happening was, over time, all of that production moved westward. It was an east-west vein corridor, the discovery on the east side of town, and over the decades that followed, all the production moved west. So the west side of the district's where the last commercial producing mines were. It's where the last development was done. And it's also this portion of the district that we consolidated and brought together. It represents the unmined extension. And we've just drilled out 100 million ounces of that extension, and it's going to keep going. Now, what we found with our drilling early on, and we've done about 150,000 meters in the last 2.5 years, is that it's not truly an east-west vein corridor. It follows the margin of a caldera. So you've got a big blow-off top. About 21 million years ago, a volcano erupted, and Mother Nature, God bless her, left all this gold and silver for us. Now what we're finding is instead of going east-west, what it's doing is it's following the inner lip of this caldera. So it goes from east-west, and then you'll see that line across our property map. That's the caldera margin, which we're tracking the vein system through. That's what changed in our model. We had an unlocking of understanding with some drilling that we did last year. So this is what the property looks like from a satellite image. You'll see that red line cutting across our property. That's US Highway 95. It connects Vegas to Reno. We're the halfway point there. Right next to our project is the town of Tonopah. Across the street, well, in fact, you'll see that central resource area we've got there, we call that DPB. Right across the street from there is Burger King, the king of burgers, when the queen of the silver camps. Now what you'll see, the northeastern portion, that the candy striped looking one, that was the last producing mine in the district. When they stopped mining that in the mid-1920s, they got down to around 1,880 feet, and as they went deeper, the vein kept blowing out. They flooded the mine. Where they stopped mining, it was said to be 24 meters thick. 90 years later, when we went back, we figured that would be a good place to start. Our first drill hole hit 30 meters of a kilogram per ton silver equivalent. We also hit some stacked veins on top of it that the old-timers didn't even know were there. I think we hit 3.6 kilos in one of those as well. Now, as the crow flies, from where the old-timers left off to that northwest step-out zone in pink, which is a new resource area we included in this update a few weeks ago, you're seeing about 3 kilometers along this vein corridor. Now, if you actually track the margin of the caldera and the actual vein corridor, it works out to be about 4 kilometers. Now, I think after our maiden resource, which delivered, I think, 42 million ounces after our first year and a half of drilling or so, people thought that we capped our upside. They thought that it was only ever going to grow incrementally. Well, we just tripled that in about the span of 18 months. To get there, it cost us all of 8% dilution on a fully diluted basis. We've done a lot with a very little. You'll see our discovery costs are some of the lowest in the industry, 29 cents a silver equivalent ounce. We've also got, unlike that maiden where people thought that it wasn't going to grow anymore or it was only ever going to grow incrementally or it wasn't going to be a standalone. Well, we're past the standalone point now, and you'll see that those gaps in between the resource area, of that 4 kilometers of the vein corridor, which we've now tracked, 1.5 kilometers have yet to be drilled. We're going to connect the area, the central area, to that northwest step-out zone. That's about 1 kilometer right there. Easy, easy, low-hanging fruit. We've got about 500 meters to connect our other deposit in that wedge. Once again, low-hanging fruit. I think you're going to see our discovery costs continue to fall. Now, what's this going to be? Well, after that, I think we're going to be in a hell of a position to slap some economics on this after a third resource update, whenever that time will be. I'm in no rush to get the drills back there, certainly not in this market. And we've got a decent amount of the treasury to weather this storm until our ounces are valued the way they should be. As I said, there's something truly special about Tonopah. That's our drill rig set up in between a Comfort Inn and Suites and Subway sandwich shop. If you want something greasier, the Burger King's on the other side. It's got everything. Power, people, the Tonopah was, a real hub in Nevada in the early 1900s. It had the tallest building in all of Nevada up until the 40s. It was the Mizpah Hotel at about 7 stories. Vegas has since surpassed it just slightly. But we've truly got everything. It's a very special place. It's similar to Val d'Or. So, that's really what we've got there. 100 million ounces. Expansion potential baked in. We don't have to step out another inch, but by the way, it keeps going to the northwest too. There's no reason to think that system stops, and we got a lot of room to run. I should say that this is, our entire claim block that this resource is on patented mining claims. That's private land. There's no permitting risk here. In fact, you're going to see an expedited permitting process. If this was in the hands of a major right now, they'd be driving it forward concurrently with their drilling and probably going underground pretty quick too. It's just state and county level officials there. There's no federal involvement in anything we're doing. And we straddle 2 counties, Nye County and Esmeralda, and these are 2 very pro-mining counties. In fact, right next to our property is a mining museum talking about the significance of our property. It overlooks our Victor headframe, which was the last producing mine in the district, and that's where we picked off on. It's truly an amazing place, and if you're ever in Nevada, it's about a 3-hour drive from Vegas, and there's a lot of cool stops along the way. But this is truly a very, very special part of Nevada history. Then we're showing that those history books have yet to be written. The guy who discovered it became governor of the state 10 years after that. A guy by the name of Howard Hughes tried to consolidate a portion of her property in the 1960s, and an even more famous, soon-to-be famous person, Andrew Pollard, has just reinvented this district. So, thank you.